Good day, everyone. I'm Mr. Jarrell Sinabrida, and today I'm going to talk about Russia, sports persona non grata. This is for the course GREP 205 Contemporary Issues in Sports and Physical Education. On this talk, I will be discussing about 1. The reason I chose Russia, its background and rationale, 2. Russia's sports issue, and 3. My conclusion and reflection. You must be living inside a rock or just so clueless at all if you don't know what's one of the biggest conflict that is happening in the world right now. No, it's not about your daughter sleeping with my husband, nor about the dramatic case of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. It's really more than that. On this talk, we will discuss why I chose Russia as the country to discuss. On February 24th, Russia launched a military invasion of Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin called it a special military operation, but the scale of the attack shows that this is a full-scale war that has already caused more than 3,752 civilians and wounded at least 4,062 ever since, and forced more than half a million Ukrainians to flee from their homes. Ukraine and Russia's conflict goes back to 2014 when Russia invaded and annexed Crimea in Russia. Back separatist forces took over parts of the southern Ukraine region. Russian athletes have been very successful on the world stage, however, up until the break of the USSR in 1991. The Soviets were one of the world's supporting superpowers, though Russian athletes are still a force to be reckoned with. As Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues, numerous international sports leagues and organizations have suspended Russia from international competition, a move that could wreak havoc on the country's athletic capabilities for decades. The Olympic movement is united in its mission to contribute to peace through sports and to unite the world in the peaceful competition beyond all political dispute. The Olympic Games, the Paralympic Games, World Championships, and the World Cups, and many other sport events unite athletes of countries which are in confrontation and sometimes even war. The current war in Ukraine, however, puts the Olympic movement in a dilemma. While athletes from Russia would be able to continue to participate in sports events, many athletes from Ukraine are prevented from doing so because of the attack on their countries. This dilemma, which cannot be solved, the International Olympic Committee Executive Board has therefore carefully considered the situations and their resolution. In order to protect the integrity of global sports competitions and for the safety of all the participants, the International Olympic Committee Executive Boards recommends that international sports federations and sports events organizers not invite or allow the participation of Russian athletes and officials in international competitions. This was stated in February 24, 2022. Russia has since been suspended from competing in soccer, basketball, figure skating, among many other sports. They strongly urge the international sports federations and organizers of sports events worldwide to do everything in their power to ensure that no athlete or sports official from Russia be allowed to take part under the name of Russia. Russian nationals, be it as individual or teams, should be accepted only as neutral athletes or neutral teams. No national symbols, no colors, no flags, or anthem should be displayed. In Beijing 2022 Winter Paralympics just this March, Russian athletes were not allowed to compete. Multiple teams threatened not to compete at the Games, according to the International Paralympic Committee. At first, they permitted them to compete and participate as neutrals using the Paralympic flag and Paralympic anthem. But since the ongoing war, they prohibited everyone to compete and to participate. The IPC president, Andrew Parsons, said on March 2 that Russian athletes should not be viewed as aggressors and that the organization's governing board or body didn't have the authority to ban athletes outright as a result of its constitution. Anna Sherbakova won gold in women's single and then memorably celebrated alone, looking disconsolate under the flag or the neutral flag of Winter Olympics. That same week, FIFA or the Federation Internationale de Football Association and UEFA, Union of European Football Association, soccer's largest and most influential governing bodies announced on a joint statement a ban on all Russian soccer teams until further notice. On their statement, it says that following the initial decisions adopted by the FIFA Council and the UEFA Executive Committee, which envisaged the adoption of additional measures, FIFA and UEFA have today decided together that all Russian teams, whether national representative teams or club teams, shall be suspended from participation in both FIFA and UEFA competitions until further notice. During that time, on the international stage, FIFA's jurisdiction over World Cup qualifiers means Russia will not be able to play its World Cup playoff against Poland, scheduled for March 24, and then Poland automatically advanced to the quarterfinals. Football is fully united here and in full solidarity with all the people affected in Ukraine. The joint statement read, both presidents hope that the situation in Ukraine will improve significantly and rapidly so that football can again be a vector for unity and peace amongst people. The Russian Football Union and the Russian Ministry of Sport recently filed appeals in the Court of Arbitration for Sports in an effort to reverse the suspensions from FIFA and UEFA and other international sport organizations and leagues. However, despite these appeals, the suspensions will likely generate long-term impacts on athletic development within Russia. The World Athletics Council announced new sanction on March 1 banning all athletes from Russia and Belarus from competing in World Athletics Series events with immediate effect. Even the Russian athletes that have been given permission to compete as neutral athletes will be excluded from World Athletics Series for the foreseeable future. The upcoming events that will be affected are the World Athletics Championships in Oregon, scheduled to begin on July 15th, and the World Indoor Championships, scheduled to begin on March 18th. This is different as governments, business, and other international organizations have imposed sanctions and measures against Russia across all sectors. Sports has to step up and join these efforts to end this war and restore peace. We cannot and should not sit this one out, World Athletics President Sebastian Coe said in a statement. There are also a lot of other sports competition and leagues that prevented Russia to compete and participate on their competitions, starting with badminton. All Russian athletes and officials from Russia are suspended from competing in Badminton World Federation sanctioned events. On baseball and softball, no Russian athletes or officials will be invited or allowed to participate in international competition sanctioned by the World Baseball Softball Confederation or WBSC. On basketball, Russian teams and officials will not be allowed to participate in FIBA or Federation Internationale de Basketball Association and in 3x3 basketball competition until further notice, according to the International Basketball Federation. In ice hockey, all of Russia's teams in every age group are suspended from competing in all International Ice Hockey Federation or IIHF competitions or events. Russia will also be stripped of its rights to host the World Junior Championships in 2023. In gymnastics, Russian flags and anthems will not be used at events sanctioned by the International Gymnastics Federation or Fédération Internationale de Gymnastics. All FIG events set to be hosted in Russia will be removed, and neither country will be awarded new events. In swimming, Russian President Vladimir Putin has the FINA Order award withdrawn by the International Swimming Federation. Other sporting sanctions includes archery, canoeing, chess, cycling, judo, pentathlon, sailing, rugby, skating, surfing, taekwondo, triathlon, and volleyball. To conclude this report, athletes have to uphold the ideals of international sports, which is that we compete for more than personal or patriotic glory, but for the hope of a level playing field for all people. Now is the time to form one large international team to defeat those who would exploit us and defile our ideals in sports. That's not just the sports community, it must transcend to our community the need to stand together and be counted. What President Putin has done is monstrous. We must unite as brothers and sisters to preserve our freedom and well being. Nothing less is acceptable. This goes to show that our field is more than just games and competitions. We have more voice to offer in times of conflicts and aggressions. Thank you for listening to my discussion as how Russia becomes the sports persona non grata. I hope you learned something. Stay safe and God bless us all.